Hello and welcome to the Armory. Well, today we are actually finally going to be doing this video, and we're going to be talking about the PTR 91, otherwise known as the civilian model of the HKG3. We just got done shooting this at the range, as you'll see here. So what we're going to do now is we are going to disassemble this and we are going to clean it. So why don't you follow us for our cleaning journey. But first, if you're new to our channel, hit that like and subscribe button so that you can be notified of new content when it becomes available. Also, please join us at thearmoryhub.com for any of your firearms related needs, and that link will be posted down below. So without further ado, let's move on to our disassembly of the PTR 91. All right, so the first thing that we're going to do is we are going to take our HK style sling off of our rifle here, which we've already done in anticipation for this video. And then the next thing we are going to do is we are going to make sure the weapon is clear. So we're going to pull it back, visually inspect the chamber, make sure there's nothing in there, and then we are going to close it. So to disassemble this rifle, it's fairly simple in regards, as you really don't need any special tools to disassemble this rifle. The first thing we are going to do to disassemble is we are going to disassemble the buttstock assembly from the receiver here, and that will also free up our trigger group here. So we're going to pop these two pins here, and all you need is your fingers to pop them. And what's nice is, let's get this off. We got our mainspring here, which we will clean. I mean, you can see all that dirt that we've taken off already with just our hands. And what's nice is they make these holes in the buttstock just so you can put your pins in so that you do not lose them. And that's for the main disassembly. You can take your handguard off here. It's just held in by a single pin here, but you don't have to clean the rifle. So we are now going to set this aside. Sorry about that, I bumped the camera. And we are going to take the trigger group out next. And this is, again, fairly simple. With those pins removed and the buttstock removed holding all this together, you just take it and pull down. And what that did was it popped this out. Now, this is a nice trigger group here because it's actually not too hard to get out. Going back in, it's a little stiff and can be a little bit of a pain. But what we're going to do is on the right side of the receiver here, we have our safety indicator. We're going to put our finger on that. We are going to take our safety switch and move it past the safe up, straight up and down, and while pushing, it will allow the safety lever to be removed. Now we will go set that to the side here. So what we're actually going to do is remove the trigger pack from the trigger housing. So it's fairly simple. Grab it, pull it. And in this case, it did pull the trigger back far enough to pop the hammer. So from here, we could disassemble this even further. But for a normal, you just got back from the range cleaning, you do not have to do that. And to be honest, if you're not too familiar with what you are doing, I would recommend taking it to a qualified gunsmith before going any further, unless you do know what you are doing to clean the internals on this. I have had this apart already. I'm not really going to show it apart for that reason. You don't have to completely disassemble it to clean it every time, but I do recommend having it cleaned every now and then, depending on how many rounds you've put through. But other than that, I'm going to go ahead and do a basic cleaning on this trigger pack. That way it's ready for the range the next time I go. And so what that's leaving us with is our receiver and barrel assembly. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come back here, grab our charging handle. I'm going to pull it back. I'm going to go ahead and put it up in the safe location. And what that did was pop our bolt carrier assembly out. And just with a few little rounds that we've put through, you can see all the carbon here already on the bolt here. So our real next thing to do would be to rotate this bolt out so that we can clean it. So this, it's been a while since I've done this, so let's go take a quick look. I'll be right back when we see what we got going on here. All right, so I remember how we're doing this. So to do this, we're going to take our bolt, we are going to grab it, we are going to turn it. This will allow us to, not easily, but it will allow us to pull our bolt head off for cleaning. So we got our bolt head here. This thing definitely needs a good cleaning, as you can see my hands now. Then we are going to finish with our firing pin, and we are going to rotate until it pops out, and we can remove our entire firing pin assembly. Take our part that goes inside the bolt head and locks everything into place, as well as our spring and our firing pin. So we are going to go ahead and give this a good cleaning, and we will then get to lubricating and putting it back together. All right, so one of the first things we're doing is we're going ahead and getting this trigger assembly back together. It's actually fairly simple. You take your trigger pack, just drop it in here, and you want to make sure that your hole here lines up perfectly so that you can put your safety lever back in, and it's just a straight drop in and go. So now everything is back together on our safety here. There are some wear points that get lubricated. However, this time, because I haven't put too much through it, I just put just a little bit of lubrication in here. But pretty much anywhere there's a wear point that has a moving component, you're going to put a little bit of oil. You don't want to over oil, because this rifle here, I haven't put that many rounds through it, and it's a dirty rifle. So, and it could just been the ammo I was using. But one of the things I like to use when I do clean these rifles is an actual HK kit. Comes with this bore snake, and what we can do is we can go ahead and put we just hook our cleaning brush on. And let's see if I can do this on camera. And quite simply, you just take your end and just start dropping it down. Give me a second, I'll get it started. All right, we got it started. Oh, I hit the camera again. I gotta quit hitting the camera. So we got it started, and we get it to where it's coming out of the rifle here. So let's go ahead and show you this. I prefer using a bore snake on these, especially so that we don't wear out our muzzle, because if we wear that out, it can just cause a whole bunch of accuracy issues and other things. Our 1917 is a prime example of that. The muzzle is worn on it, and it's going to have to be counterbored to be able to use it again, because someone or multiple people use a cleaning rod through it, and instead of something like a bore snake. And what that did was wear the end of the muzzle off, which will then destabilize a bullet, causing it to, what's the correct word here? It'll tumble instead of, and it'll keyhole on the target instead of actually hitting accurately. So it does cause issues if you do want to use a cleaning rod. Just keep that in mind. It's not going to be an immediate issue if you choose to use a regular cleaning rod over a bore snake. But personally, I do prefer using bore snakes because they are better for the rifle in the long run. So let's go ahead and put this away. And we will start putting her back together now. So as I said, we already got our trigger assembly back together. But what are we going to lubricate? So we got our hops number 9. This is what I personally use. Is there other stuff out there? Yes. Is there better stuff? More than likely, possibly. But this is what I'm used to using. So the first thing I'm actually going to lubricate, I'm going to put a little bit on my finger. Not much. Just a little bit. So you can see that little bit that's on my finger. I'm going to come here to this key, and I'm just going to rub just a little. I just want a slightly light coating on this. And I probably should have washed my hand to do this. So what we're then going to do is take our firing pin spring and our firing pin, put our firing pin spring back on our firing pin, put it in our lock here. We are going to take our bolt carrier group and put all this in. Now, let me take this out real quick. If you look right here, this right here is what allows your lock to come out during disassembly, so you can remove the firing pin. So when you go back together, you're going to take this lock and you're going to line it up with that groove, put it in, push down on the spring, and rotate just slightly. So we have this marking here that says 45 degrees. We have that standing up. So now we are going to actually take our bolt here with our rollers, and that is going to be important here. So let's go ahead. We're going to put a little more oil on our finger. And I want to come right here where that groove is, because that is going to be one of our wear points. And what's that going to do is, as your bolt opens and closes here, it'll ride in this groove right here. And now let's see if we can get a better picture of it. So you can see how we have this little bit of an L shape here. This groove here rides in there to lock and unlock your bolt. So that is going to be another wear point for us. So we are going to put our bolt in. We are then going to kind of, and we did it again. Hold on. We are going to then rotate it until we can, and this takes a little bit of pressure because you have your other pieces such as this causing tension and everything. So we have a lot we're kind of fighting against, and that's a good sign there. So now that it's all the way back in here, we rotate, we kind of push it forward just a hair. Oh, come on. Come on. We did this earlier. All right. So we're going to go ahead, and as we are rotating, we're going to push it forward just a hair. I'm using my thumb to push it forward like so. we're going to push it forward and rotate it until we are locked in place. So now our bolt carrier assembly is back together, which now leads us to our next lubrication point, and that is actually the rollers themselves. So on this, I don't want to use too much, but I want to add a dab of oil on the roller here. Just kind of work it in a little bit. And then we're going to knock it down. Wish I could show you, but we're going to knock it down and roll the roller a little bit so we get enough oil on that. Kind of wipe off any excess that we have. And then we're going to come over to the next one. Start rubbing it in. So we still have oil on our fingers and everything from this roller here. So we're going to use the excess of that and just put it on the roller, work it in on this side as well. And we're going to take our rag here and clean off any extra dirt that got back on the firearm from our fingers. Which now leaves our next lubrication point. Since this bolt carrier group rides in these rails here, we are going to put a little bit of oil, and that's way too much oil. I was only meaning a dab, so we'll just use this. We're going to put some in here. We're going to have to clean all this excess oil off, but you just want a little bit of oil, because too much oil, as I said, with this being as dirty as it was, for as little it went through, it will really cake this up. So now I want to put a little bit of oil, just a little light coating right up through here, because this is right where, let's go ahead and take some more. And I'm just doing a very, very light coating on this. Just enough. Just enough to coat it, but not enough to really cause much issues. I'm going to go ahead and take my rag, clean off the excess. If I have to put a little more oil, I'll do what I've been doing. And put a little bit on my fingers. To get back in there. But it looks like we have a little bit of oil in there. Not too much, so it should be nice and lubricated for this. And quite simply, we're just going to set her in. Now that we have that, we can push our charging handle back forward and allow our bolt to close. What this will now do is allow us to put our firing control group here back in the rifle. And my bad, we're going to put it back in the rifle here, and it's really simple actually. You just make sure everything's lined up and it just rotates up. Which then will allow us to put, and we're going to grab our buttstock here, so this is going to be our next step. I'm going to just put a little bit of oil on my finger again. Just rub our spring. Just get a little bit of oil in there. And it just slides in the back of the bolt. So the spring slides in the back of the bolt carrier group here. And sometimes lining this up is not the easiest, but once you got it, just slides on. Then we take our 2 pins out of our buttstock, and they just quite simply go back in. So just clip in like that. We're going to wipe any excess off. And we are now going to go ahead and reinstall our sling. So one thing for storage I like to do with our sling is I like to wrap it around the buttstock, my bad, and around the grip. And I do this here like this for storage purposes, so that the sling is not just hanging around. So we're going to finish this video up here in a minute. So let's get back to where you can see us and we can talk a little more about the rifle. All right, so we went ahead, disassembled, reassembled, lubricated, and cleaned our PTR 91 here. So we are ready to take it back out to the range. But one of the things I want to talk about on this is it was actually really fun to shoot. Some things I liked about it is its handling, but I'm not a fan of its rear sight, and that's because it's 100 on this diopter sight. The 100 part of the sight is just an old school style V-notch, which with the front sight on this, it wasn't the easiest, but moving out to 200 and 200 plus yards, it goes into a more aperture sight as you rotate your sight to 200, 300, 400 yards. So I do like this because it does make things a little simpler, but at the same time, I don't like the V-notch at the 100 part. But hey, it is what it is. This is an old Cold War era battle rifle. Well, the clone of an old Cold War battle rifle. So I will be making a video at some point on the history and development of this firearm, because again, it has a unique story that involves the FAL as well. Because if you've seen one of my shorts that I made, if it wasn't for Belgium, the Germans may never have adopted this wonderful rifle. Because we'll just go into that part of it right now. The Germans actually had some FALs, and when it came time to start rearming for the Cold War, they actually asked Belgium if they could produce the FALs in Germany, and basically Belgium told them to get stuffed. They can buy them, but they will not produce them in Germany. So that's when they went looking elsewhere, found this Spanish set-me, and made a few changes to it, and it got adopted as the G3 and became this wonderful rifle that we all know and love. So we will definitely be covering the history on these rifles because, again, as I just said, it's a unique rifle. Some other videos that we have coming up, we are going to be doing a restoration on, well, I will say restoration because we are going to be doing a little more than just a regular cleanup on this Arisaka Type 99. Obviously, the mum has been ground off, as you can say. So it's not an all matching rifle already. It's not a mum. The chrysanthemum has not been untouched. It has been touched. It's ground down. So it's not particularly rare. This is a Type 24, or this Type 99 is a 24 series Kokura rifle. So it is missing some parts right now. I'm still waiting on some parts. We've already started doing the video on this one. So one of the first things we did on this before we go take it to the range was we replaced the bolt with a proper bolt, because somebody had at some point put a last ditch bolt on this, and you'll see that in that video. So we will be taking this to the range, making sure everything's good on it. One of the first things we did do on this was verify the headspace on this new bolt to make sure it was safe to shoot. So we are also going to re-blue it, and unfortunately there's nice large chunks on this that are missing its finish. So unfortunately, I really don't want to. I was going to actually make this a project for me and my kids to do together, but being that the finish on these rifles were from a sumac tree, we're going to be taking extra precautions when we do the wood on this to clean, just to clean it and see what we got, get the dirt and oil and everything off of it, just to see what we got before we go any further on it. We're going to be taking extra precautions on that. We also have a number 2 Mark I Enfield revolver coming in at some point this week. It's very rusty, and it's going to be basically, we are going to just get rid of the rust on it and possibly re-blue it. So we will be doing a video on that as well. So if you've stuck with us this far, I really applaud you on that. I really hope you hit that like and subscribe button so that we can grow as a channel and we can get information out to you as fast as we can. And we hope that you visit our website at thearmoryhub.com. So with that said, we'll see you next time at The Armory.